This happens, okay? And if you're a Georgia Tech fan and you're watching, I know our buddy Poochie, big Georgia Tech supporter over in Atlanta, who's going to tune in for us to talk positive about Georgia Tech. It happens when you're a number 10 team in the country and you lose to an unranked team. We often spend so much time talking about what the number 10 team didn't do and not enough about what the team that was unranked did do. So I will tell you this. I was so surprised, like you mentioned, LT, the best defensive line in the country, Florida State, some people were saying. They lost some people, but they had replaced them with some people. Georgia Tech manhandled them, I thought, on both sides of the ball. DJ, all due respect, we can trash him if we want. He didn't have a ton of time.
He didn't.
Those Georgia Tech guys, that new defensive coordinator for them, Santucci, I think's his name, from Duke, he chose not to go with Mike Elko. Decided, hey, if I keep following Mike Elko, people are going to think it's the Mike Elko defense, so I'm going to get my own. Go to Georgia Tech, and his stock went straight up. That Georgia Tech defense, after that first drive, and another landmine. And this is a side note. Maggie was packing to go to Duke, and I walked downstairs, and she's like, "So you got great college football all day?" And I said, "Really? Only this first game, because SMU is going to kill Nevada later on." Didn't happen. Only this first game. And I said, I think it's about to be a blowout because Florida State's just gone down the field. Boom, boom, boom. It's 8-0. Even got a 2-point conversion. Rubbed it in their face. Took the little Georgia Tech dog and rubbed the nose in the poop right there. 8-0. And she goes, "Oh, it's going to be a blowout." And I said, "Yeah, they just walked down the field. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be able to keep up with them." And then I go back upstairs after making my sandwich, and I'm like, okay, we got a football game now. That first drive, I thought Florida State was going to kill them. Then that Georgia Tech defense locked down, and they were just unbelievable. And I don't think, in my opinion, Georgia Tech, they got 0 breaks in that game, man. 2 bomb of field goals from Florida State, a swinging gate, swinging door, 2-point conversion, a safety, all that to keep Florida State tied until the game-winning field goal. I mean, they were hitting bomb field goals. They got a safety and a 2-point conversion, or it wouldn't have been close.
If I told you coming into this game as an 11.5-point favorite that Florida State doesn't turn it over, they have 1 penalty, and Haynes King has 0 touchdowns, what do you think this final score is? 1 penalty, no turnovers, and Haynes King 0 touchdowns with 37
blowout,
last year.
About the normal game we get in Ireland, which is a blowout, not a fun game.
Yeah,
and here's what's crazy is I think Brent Key has really improved this program. I think they've got some players, and for Jamal Haynes and Haynes King, guys like that, not to leave in the portal, I think that says something about the culture he's building. I still think they lose 5 games.
Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
Well, the end of their schedule's brutal. I mean,
their last 5 games.
Yeah, their last 5 games are absolutely brutal. I think they can get off to a really good start. But again, Lance, 7-5, if that program's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, 7-6 last year. I mean, but after winning that game, you want them to be in contention for the
ACC. But they're not going to be. But back-to-back 7 wins, that's something they haven't done in quite a while.
The river dance is always good in Dublin.
Where I would credit Brent Key, too, in his coaching and being a mature coach even early on. As you mentioned, Florida State runs the swinging gate.
Welcome in, Braves Country, to another edition of the Pennant Grace. Don't worry. The Grace is joining soon of the Pennant Grace. Emily Grace McWhorter, my co-host in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, joining us soon. Talk a little Braves baseball. It was a good weekend. Rocky out of town. Lionel at the helm, holding it down. Scott Forrester. Scott, an interesting milestone for his White Sox this weekend. I couldn't help but notice on Scott Forrester's Twitter. Scott, tell your White Sox, if you've got Mike there, what did we hit there for the White Sox?
That'd be 100 losses.
100 losses.
The interesting stat there that I saw is that's 31-100 is the worst record through 131 games in the last 108 years of Major League Baseball.
So
that's kind of not good.
And to rub salt in the wound, for those that don't know, Scott Forster, not a big Joe Tess fan. Joe Tess on the call for Georgia Tech, Florida State in Dublin, and you had to. If I like Joe Tess, but Scott, if you don't like Joe Tess, that was about the most Joe Tess game ever.
I'm sorry. I know some people can listen to Joe Tess. That dude makes my ears bleed.
Yeah. You know who doesn't make Scott's ears bleed? Emily Grace McWhorter.
Never.
Who loves the Atlanta Braves and also loves nature, as we see here. That is the oldest oak in Tuscaloosa. Is that an oak, you think, guys? I'm just guessing on. I don't know a lot about trees.
I don't know. Here's the view.
Yeah, but we're going to call it the oldest oak in Tuscaloosa. Welcome to the show, partner.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I really miss being in studio, but thankfully Thursday I'll be right next to you.
There you go. So some changes possibly with the schedule of the Pennant Grace. A lot going on here. Double Down Media. We will keep you informed. If you want to stay informed, make sure you're following us across social media at the Pennant Grace on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and any schedule changes such as today going at 12:30. We'll let you know. As always, our show is brought to you by the fine folks at Roback. E.G., I was at church yesterday, saw plenty of Roback amongst God's people. Made sure to find as many of them as I could to hunt them down to say, now make sure you're saving 20% on that. That's when you go to checkout, you enter code PG20, save you 20% on America's best clothing brand, Roback.
Yep. And it is turning into a lightweight hoodie season right before our eyes. And what better way to get your lightweight hoodie season on than with Roback? PG20 gets you 20% off at checkout. We love them. We know them. I feel like I see Roback out in the wild so much more now. And it makes me so happy. And like you, I make sure to emphasize PG20 gets you 20% off.
I'll stick with the short sleeves till about January, so I'll stick with the Roback Polo. E.G., my partner here, usually see her wrapped in a blanket, an Afghan quilt of some kind. And so she's going to be shifting over to the long sleeves sooner than I will. As we record today, our Atlanta Braves are 6 games back. They're 2.5 up on the Mets for the final wild card spot. 6-4 in their last 10, which is the same record as the Philadelphia Phillies in their last 10 games. Before we get to the National Series, we do need to start with the Phillies because as we went live Thursday, we still had that final game to go, and the Braves take the game. They take the series 3-2 win in Game 3. E.g., Spencer Schwellenbach, this was a big story for me. Great start from him. 6.2 innings pitched. 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. That is a quality start.
It is. And again, Spencer Schwellenbach, this special as we call him, he's one of those guys that we need to see those quality starts from, especially this time in the season, right? We're winding down August. What better time, especially against the Phillies, for him to rise to the occasion? I also agree that was a huge story that I think is a very big, bright spot for Braves country.
Yeah, so Schwellenbach, that wasn't unexpected. I tell you what was unexpected in that game. Adam Duvall was 3 for 3 with a home run. That was a pleasant surprise, wasn't it?
It was like he finally woke up, and we are big Adam Duvall fans
For
on
sure.
the Pennant Grace. Do not get us twisted. However, in the last few days, weeks, we've started to, be critical of him in some aspects, which is not a bad thing. We're very, we report on what we see. To see him in that situation, like you said, the special he's been producing, we've been seeing those starts. Adam Duvall, everything went cold for him. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We love to see him back doing what he does.
Last note I have on that game, and just to expand on what this guy's been doing, because it's probably been undersold by us here and honestly probably by Braves country in general. Raciel Iglesias, an elite closer. Go ahead and throw that word out. This season has been an elite closer. He pitches the final inning, no hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts. This season, he's got a .139 ERA and 51.2 innings pitched. Would you dare to guess his ERA in the last 7 games? Now, he's 17 innings pitched in the last 7 games. Could you wager a guess of what that ERA is?
No, tell it to me right now.
0.00.
We love it. We love it.
Zeros across the board, like looking at my son's grades. So Raciel Iglesias has been absolutely unhittable and really needs all the flowers that we can give him.
I agree. And I think that he has been understated because he's been doing his job game in and game out. The thumbnail on this video as you guys are watching is the Braves can out-pitch anyone. They just can't out-hit them. And I think the Phillies series was a great example. If the Braves can keep games low scoring, it's huge for them.
Yeah. Yeah, which is weird to say considering the team last year, but they're really not equipped for the shootouts like they were last year, which is probably their specialty, to be honest with you. So shifting from there to the Nats series, so you're taking on an elite team in Philadelphia, the team you've been chasing, and then you take a below 500 Nats team, and we need to make sure we make note. We won the series, good series.
Yes.
Always ending, it feels like, on a bad note on those Sunday day games. We don't seem to do very well in those.
No, and I'm unsure of what it is. I think, and we after church yesterday at lunch, we were saying how it seems like a sweep is just hard to come by. And while I do think that's true, it just seems like the Braves cannot get it together on a Sunday. Now, I think it was the month of June. Sundays were horrible for injuries. Thankfully, the injury bug has, lifted off of us in the last couple of weeks. Knock on wood.
Ooh.
Literally, I'm about to go knock on the oak tree.
Knock, everyone. Just grab it. The oldest
Knocking.
oak tree in Tuscaloosa just got knocked on. Yeah, they
anyways,
are. It's not a team that's sweeping people. Even when they're
No.
playing well, they just can't seem to close the deal on those.
No, and especially with a team like the Nats, and we understand sweeps are hard to come by. And it's Major League Baseball, it's professional baseball. However, you should be able. I hate to say you should be able to, but it would have been nice to get the sweep on Sunday.
It would have. Game one was a game that went to extras in the 10th inning.
Yep.
Braves, by the way, best record in extra innings, Major League Baseball this season.
I was about to inquire about that because I feel like if the Braves went to extras, it has been really, really good when that happens. And I feel like that's kind of unexpected considering what the Braves are producing in other areas.
Yeah, they've been really good in that spot. Chris Sale goes 7 innings pitched. Gave up 9 hits. This is not a typical Chris Sale start, but he does go 7, which was great and huge for that bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
9 hits, but only 2 earned runs, only 4 strikeouts, low for him. That ERA still in a really, really good spot. Ramon Laureano, we're going to talk about him a little bit more later, but he was 3 for 4 with an RBI. And then Michael Harris, the second home run, and kind of gets the game winner there, honestly. I mean, it's an error. It was an easy out, but we do take it, and it gets the Braves the win in the 10th. Big scare for Money Mike yesterday, hit by pitch, and I think we all holding our breath on that one. This time, amazingly, the Braves get good news on Money Mike.
I feel like that was definitely the highlight for a lot of Braves fans was that, thank goodness, like we said, the injury bug did not land on Michael Harris yesterday. It has been so long since, I guess, when Austin, well, no. I'm trying to think of the last time that someone almost got hurt and it turned out to be good news. It's been a while since that's happened.
Yes.
And thankfully, we saw it yesterday.
Exactly. So Braves roll on Saturday in Game 2 with a 4-2 victory. And again, to your point, E.G., about low-scoring games, 3-2, 4-2. Charlie Morton, I want to talk about Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton in his last 3 starts has a 2.65 ERA. He is pitching his best baseball as we're in now late August. This is very encouraging to see from Charlie Morton.
Yeah. And again, it's all about peaking at the right time. And it seems like the pitching, I don't want to say it seems like, the pitching has kept the Braves in the position they're at this entire season, really. So to see Charlie Morton, who had sort of a regression, now back in the mix, producing well. Like we said, we're wrapping up August, if you can believe it. Heading into September, this is the push on the pitching side that the Braves need.
Yeah, really cool, too, is Alumni Weekend, and they had a home run derby contest of teams. That was fun to watch. That was televised. A lot of great players there. And what's interesting is you had these great alumni there. Charlie Morton played with some of these guys.
Right. I think we forget how old Charlie Morton is.
He's
at times.
40.
We do call him Uncle Charlie.
He's a man. He's 40. So
for him, but I want to say one thing about him. When it comes to pitching, for him to have evolved his game for so many years and still be the player that he is, it's unheard of. And that is the kind of person that in game situations, come September, October, that's who you want on the mound because he's been able to maintain and grow and evolve his game in a time where velocity is all the rage. You know what I mean? For him to stay consistent, not enough people talk about that.
Beloved by his teammates, and I would imagine, just invaluable to those younger pitchers as well. Orlando Arcia and the aforementioned Ramon Laureano have home runs in that victory. You win the Phillies series. You've taken the first 2 games from Washington. And then appropriate for a Sunday because you go off like a fart in church. At 11 o'clock local start time, I did speak our pastor, George Wright, his father, the legendary Bryant Wright of Johnson's Ferry Baptist Church out of Georgia, preaching, noted Braves fans. And I asked George, I was like, hey, tell the old man to kind of wrap up a little early. He didn't. Good thing he didn't. Braves lose 1-5 in a game that was really low on offense, really the whole game up until Washington did what they needed to do down the stretch to win. A shame about Ronaldo Lopez pitched a great game. 6 innings, only 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. I thought that he looked fantastic.
He did. And our title of this is also Luke Jackson. How do you feel?
Mm-hmm. How you
we
feel?
have to talk about it.
Yeah. How about nauseous? Is that a good word for it? All right, so Luke Jackson, his last 15 games, 9 innings pitched in the last 15 games. This is going to be a very different from the stat I gave you on Raciel Iglesias. 8. That's his ERA, 8.00 for Luke.
That's an average, too.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
His nickname, Luke Skywalker. I think Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, who is in, I don't know, his 60s, could probably come in and pitch about as well as Luke Jackson is pitching right now. Matt Olson had a home run in that game. Not a lot to report about there as we shift over to a big interleague road trip and then this massive 4-game series in Philadelphia on the way. Before we get to the Minnesota Twins, E.G., I want to talk about Joe Simpson called these guys the seat warmers. 3 guys that we have on the Atlanta Braves staff that are just playing great baseball and in a lot of ways carrying the team. Whit Merrifield, Ramon Laureano, and Gio Urshela. Talking to a friend of the show, Matthew Turberville, yesterday, says, how does AA do this? He just finds these guys and gets these guys. So going off
There's
the last...
There's a spider on me.
Can we get a camera on this?
Whoo! I got it.
Okay.
Sorry.
How big of a spider? Poisonous?
It was a big spider, and normally spiders don't freak me out. I apologize for the disrupts, but I thought I could compose myself better, but it was on my
I thought you were so
crawling.
Captivated by what I was saying.
I know.
But no, it was a spider.
I think it fell out of the oak tree.
Okay. Just to kind of get you back here, we're talking about the Atlanta Braves baseball.
Yep, thank you.
Gotcha. All right, so first, last 7 games for these 3 guys, seat warmers. Whit Merrifield, 323 with 8 hits and 5 walks. I wanted to mention those 5 walks because this guy, just a seasoned veteran, has a great approach at the plate, really good in that position, just good at getting on base. Gio Urshela, 273, 6 hits. And Ramon Laureano, 360, 9 hits, 2 home runs in his last 7 games. These are guys that the Braves were able to get for very little, guys that had been released by other teams. These are not trades. These are guys that the Braves were able to pick up, veteran players, all 3 of them. And what they're doing in an Atlanta uniform really needs to be celebrated. I don't know where this team would be without these 3 guys.
No, and I think with Urshela specifically, his defense has been incredible, falling behind Austin Riley, whose defense is also incredible. I think that hot corner, it doesn't feel like vulnerable when you have Austin Riley there. And I think it would have been really easy for whoever came behind him to kind of show the weakness there. He has been incredible in that role. You talk about Whit Merrifield. No one's really talking about it, but it feels a lot like 2021, where there were these guys that came on the team that stepped up.
Right.
And we were waiting for that all, summer really. Okay, who's it going to be? Who's going to be? And it's a little unspoken, kind of, not really discussed, but it's framing up to be those three guys could play a pivotal role in these next coming weeks.
And you're taking the place of what I think are probably the three most high-profile Atlanta Braves that you think of: Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley. I think those are probably the first three names that are going to come to mind for people when they think about an Atlanta Brave. Just can't say enough good things about those three guys. Really good to have, and seem to be a good fit in the clubhouse as well.
I agree. We always talk about AA's ability to have guys that fit into that aspect. And I think now more than ever, that's so needed because you don't have the leaders. You don't have Ozzie. You don't have Austin Riley. You don't have Acuna in that role to continue that culture of the team. And it looks like whoever it is, whether it's Matt Olson, I'm going to assume they're doing a job of keeping that culture going for the eventual return of those three.
Now we turn our attention to the Minnesota Twins. You like a little fashion talk. I think the most underrated look in baseball is the Minnesota Twins. I love their uniforms. I love the logo, the hat. I'm a fan of how they look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're aesthetically pleasing.
Playing, we talked about this, playing in a what has traditionally been for the last several years a really weak division. And that is not the case this year. And honestly, I think they're going to get 3 teams in. I mean, I think that's possible, which is crazy when you think about how high profile the AL East is. But believe I'm right here. If the season were to end today, you would have the Orioles and Yankees. You'd have the Astros in the West. You know, the Mariners have fallen back down, and then I think you would get the Indians, the Royals, those 2 teams playing right now, by the way, and the Minnesota Twins. And so 3 teams out of the Central. The Twins are 72-58, so heck of a good record. They're 3 games back for the lead, and like I said, tied with the Royals, exact same record there in the AL Central. I want to go over these pitching. We do have all 3 pitching matchups for you. By the way, all 3 games, 6:40 Central Standard Time starts. Game 1 tonight, Max Fried brings a 7-7 record and a 3.57 ERA, taking on Bailey Ober, 12-5 with a 3.54. Spencer Schwellenbach, the special, gets the mound for Game 2, 5-6 with a 3.94. He will take on Simeon Woods Richardson. I love a good triple name, Emily Grace McWhorter.
Yeah.
He is 5-3 with a 3.69 ERA. And then in Game 3, the NL Cy Young frontrunner and possible Triple Crown winner, Chris Sale, 14-3 with a 2.62 ERA, takes on David Fosta, 2-3 with a 5.20 ERA. As the Braves are playing the Twins, the Phillies are going to have a big series of their own with a formidable AL opponent, that and the Houston Astros. If you remember early on in the show, we talked a little bit about the American League, and I said, it looks like that run is maybe over for Houston as you see Seattle playing really well. The Astros had really faded back. Not the case, as the Astros have regained a solid lead in the AL West. That's a really, really good team who's played outstanding baseball in the second half of the season.
For sure. I think that the pitching matchups are really great. I have a lot of confidence. And guys, I've said it, I think, every single episode for the last 3 weeks. The Braves play good teams well. It's the teams that they shouldn't struggle against that they struggle against. The Nationals, for example. I have pretty good confidence in the Braves to win the series, come back. Now, the key will be the Phillies and the Astros. Like we mentioned last episode, this is a good time of the year where start looking and paying attention to other teams around the country. You can get outside of the Braves bubble, really even the NL East bubble, and start kind of looking and observing. And this is a series that is going to be pivotal because think about this. The Braves are, 6 games back? I mean, you could cut that pretty heavily in the next couple of days.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say specific numbers. We don't want to jinx anything, but this is, again, another time where if the Braves can capitalize on any sort of momentum shift, they need to.
Yep, I agree. Talking to Reed Taylor, Duke of Denham, before the show, his guy Shohei, I don't know if you saw that, with his big blast Friday, 40-40. I remember as a kid, Jose Canseco, the very first 40-40 guy. So we never had a 40-40 guy until whatever that late 80s that Jose did that. Shohei does that Friday. The Dodgers despite their depleted pitching, still an elite team. But that division is insane with what San Diego and Arizona are doing. Firm in my belief that all three of those teams will be in the postseason, and it'll really be to get that last wild card spot, most likely for Atlanta. A lot can happen. The Braves are 6 games back. This is not some massive lead, so a lot can happen as we round out August, which is crazy to think about, but finish up August this week and move into September. That's this Phillies series coming up after Minnesota, by the way, a 4-game.
Yeah.
So really big series.
Right, and you said it best. After this, it's at Philly. Now, Philly's a very hard place to play. Don't get me wrong, but the Braves' record against the Phillies this season is a winning one. And again, you cut that lead down this series. What happens when you have momentum heading into Philly? You need anything you can get when you head into that stadium. But if you're out there heels, very significant. It's going to be exciting baseball this next week.
Would you, if you were to have tickets and like be in the area, would you be a little afraid to go to a Braves game in Philadelphia? Yeah, I think I would too.
No, my dad has said that he has gone to a Phillies game when the Braves were there, and just wearing a Braves jersey around town, not good.
Yeah, I think I'd have to bring friend of the show, Phillies fan Travis Millsaps, as my backup, my bodyguard.
For sure.
You know, the diesel to my Shawn Michaels to make sure that no one harms Baby Ush. Got to keep me safe so I can do this show. So we'll come back Thursday. We'll be regular time Thursday, 12:15 Central Time right here. We will go through what we've seen in this Twins series and have a lot of Phillies talk for everyone Thursday as well.
It's going to be great. I'm excited. College football is also right around the corner. So we have a lot of content for you guys. That sweet spot where we've got baseball, most exciting time, and then the kickoff of college football. So we really do have it all. Follow us along at the Pennant Grace to keep up with everything. And we're excited. It feels like good things are trending for the Braves, but I'm hesitant to get ahead of myself. But I feel like we're in for a really, really fun next couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, we had a couple of games last weekend, but this weekend it's real college football. It's Christmas. I mean, like, we're all super excited. There's nothing better when you can plan out your Saturday, and this is the 11. This is what I'm going to watch, the 2:30. This is the night. Mm-hmm. Don't forget about your Atlanta Braves, Braves country.
No.
In a playoff race, and we're going to bring you all that coverage. Be back Thursday at 12:15. EG, I want you to do me a favor, and while you're still there on campus in Tuscaloosa, make sure you're looking around for Roback. You look for the flag in the back under the collar. That's the giveaway. Look for the Rhodesian Ridgeback there, Roback. If you go to roback.com, when you check out, enter code PG20, it's going to save you 20%. We appreciate them very much on the Pennant Grace, and partner, we appreciate each and every one of these viewers, don't we?
Yes, we do. Like we said, follow us along at the Pennant Grace. We'll be back Thursday at 12:15. I'll be in studio. All will be well. We're excited to continue to talk Braves with you, Braves country.
We'll see you Thursday, Braves country.